Welcome to Season 4 of the K4 Business Podcast.
Question for the audience. How do you stop drowning in financial uncertainty and finally gain control of your cash flow so that you can grow with confidence? In this episode, we will show you how to move from financial chaos to complete clarity by turning your numbers into strategy, not just reports. We'll explain how to master cash flow, boost profitability, and make confident data-driven decisions instead of guessing your way through growth. Our guest today is Walid Doumyati from Your Precision Growth Partners. He's the founder and managing partner of Precision Growth Partners, where he serves as a fractional CFO who turns financial data into strategic direction for small and mid-sized businesses. With more than 20 years of financial leadership experience as a group CFO, he brings a global perspective and a practical approach to business finance. Since launching his firm, Walid has helped business owners improve cash flow, profitability, and clarity, focusing on actual insights rather than reports. His mission is simple: help entrepreneurs stop guessing and make confident, data-driven decisions that fuel sustainable growth. Outside the boardroom, he's a sports car enthusiast and a licensed private pilot who loves aviation. Walid, welcome. It's good to have you back.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you.
All right. So, what was the moment that you realized that traditional accounting wasn't enough, and you decided not to make flying an airplane a living?
Actually, the airplane thing, it was a hobby, just for sightseeing, and it was not a career. The accounting, I started the accounting since graduating from the university, and I started people. Then I moved on and I got my CMA, Certified Management Accountant certification. And then I moved to the CFO world.
You have participated in a rebrand, and I think you believe it's a much better fit of what you do and what your client sees you doing. Tell us about that rebrand and how it worked.
Rebranding, actually, it started in 2024. I started my business in 2018 as WD Accounting Services, and I was doing bookkeeping and taxes. And then I moved to CFO Services, but the message and the name of the company, WD Accounting Services, it was a little bit wrong. So when you say to the client accounting, say they think that it is taxes, bookkeeping, why it's completely different. So this is why we decided to just move on and do the rebranding. It's now Precision Growth Partner. Now, when you say Precision Growth Partner, so the first thing that you receive is what you do. But when you say accounting, so they know what you do, so they don't ask. So this is the main thing that changed actually the perspective of what we do.
So, when people have numbers, if you have a bank account, they'll see numbers in there. If they have any accounting software, they'll see numbers in there. Why are they feeling lost? Like, why aren't they getting a sense of I'm getting ahead? Whether the account's getting more full, or they're figuring out how to do the accounting where they know the pace, the money's coming in, the cash flow. Why are they confused?
Because most business owners, they are not numbers people. They don't understand how numbers works. They good about what they do, but in terms of numbers, it's completely different. So making revenue, it doesn't mean that you have profit. And since you have profit, it doesn't mean that you have positive cash flow. Those are three different numbers or three different lines in the financial statements, but it's not showing in your financial statements. It's a hidden number. You have to read behind the number in your financial statements in order to understand those drivers. So this is why this is something a little bit confusing for people and for business owners. So this is why they are lost most of the time.
What I've seen, the whole idea of accrual accounting does not make sense to the average entrepreneur. Would you say that's true?
Exactly. This is, most small size business, let's say, they work on a cash basis, not accrual basis. Accrual basis is a must in order to plan, because, not every time you issue an invoice, you get paid immediately. It may take 30 days, 40 days, 45 days in order to get paid. It will be recorded in your accounting as revenue, but in terms of cash flow, you still didn't receive the money. Your bank account is zero, still zero, but you have a revenue $100,000. Accrual basis is a must for planning.
And I understand about accrual accounting. I also understand about setting up a budget for the year, right? Especially if you're in year 2 now, right? You know where your expenses are kind of running, whether it's staffing, supplies, whatever the case might be. Does that also help understanding these budget and then planning the budget? Does that also form part of the strategy?
Yes, for sure. Having a budget is very important, and planning is also very important. I would say let's do here kind of a little bit comparison in terms of planning. Let's say you have a trip from point A to point B. Let's say you have a trip for, let's say, 5,000 kilometers, and you have to plan for this trip. So the first thing you do is you got your report from your mechanic. All checked, everything is okay, check, 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 check. This is exactly in business what the CPA gives to you. Like it's a history. You are complying. Everything is checked. And when you start your car, your car in order to start your trip, the first thing you look at your dashboard. The dashboard, you have full tank. You don't have any flat tire. You don't have any. The temperature is good. Everything is good. So this is your position today. Position today means this is what in business the bookkeeper gives to you, is your position today. But in order to plan for your journey, in order to plan for your trip, to reach your destination on time and safe, this is how you have to plan. This is what the CFO does. Let me give you an example. First thing you have to plan is, let's say, you have to locate, for example, the gas station. Because if you reach the first gas station and you still have 75% of your tank full, you may say, no, it's not the time to stop and fill my tank. But when you know that the next gas station, it takes 90% of your tank, so the 75% is not enough, you have to stop and fill it, because in order for you to be able to reach the second or the next gas station. This is in business what we call it cash flow. Moreover, it's still not enough. You have to locate the mechanics on the road. Nobody knows what happened. So when you have any problem, you have to know where are the mechanics are located, so you can go to mechanic and fix your car. Nobody knows what happened in business. Who was expecting COVID? Who was expecting those tariffs now? So many businesses are out of business because of those things happen in the past few years. So also planning for this is very important. You have to plan for you have to check your policy, your insurance policy. Did this cover all the trip or not? This is what you call it in business risk management. So this is how we plan for the future. Those things only a CFO can give to you. So you can reach your target in business safe and on time as well, because time is money at the end of the day.
I worked in an accounting firm, and what I found interesting is that this year end was this thick document that was about the size of a doorstop. It often, before us, would end up getting put in a drawer, never to be sought again, partially because the customer didn't understand and didn't want to look foolish, and partially it wasn't tied to him in any meaningful way. What are the reports that you recommend he know or she know that make it real and not a dead historic document?
Mainly the historic document that you are talking about, Wayne, are the balance sheet and income statement. This is something every year or maybe every month we can generate those things. At the end of the year, we can give them to the CPA in order to file our taxes. But those are not analytical reports. You have to analyze this data. And in order to analyze the data, you have to see or to look at what's behind those numbers. What's hidden in those numbers? There's a lot of things hidden in those numbers. What we focus on 16 financial drivers. 5 drivers for profit, 5 drivers for revenue, and 6 drivers for cash flow. Those drivers, you cannot see them in your financial statements. You have to analyze those financial statements in order to get to those drivers. And you have to monitor those drivers in order to make them work for you and make them work properly in order to generate profit, cash flow, and revenue. Like a car, for example, 6-cylinder car. If you have only 4 cylinders are working, the engine is not performing well. But when you fix at least one more 5-cylinder, it will be better. But when you fix the 6 cylinders, the engine will be performing uh, in the best way. Those financial drivers are hidden numbers in your financial statements. Business owners don't know about them. They need help in order to analyze the data, get those financial drivers, see which financial drivers are not working, and fix it.
So how often do you stop, check the oil, financially speaking, to make sure that you're running on par? Because when you start off, and again, I'm going to go back to the engine concept, even flying an airplane, right? There's a pressure that builds up, right? And so it's not instant on. It's not like an electric motor. It's not bang, we're there. So how much time do you allow for going, okay, you're here. You need to see a change over here within a set amount of time. What's that time window look like? And, what are the undulations that are, hey, that's okay. There's a little bit of dip and then it pops back up, or when is it too hot?
Each industry has its own KPIs and its own measurable components. So once we have this known, actually, what the problems are and what are the financial drivers that is not working, we start making like an action plan. Few steps need to be done for this specific financial drivers in order to start working. If it's not working at all, if it's working but not working in a good way, so we have to also fix it. So we put an action plan for some financial driver that it's not working, and we start working on them on monthly basis, and we monitor the data on monthly basis, and we see how we are approaching to our target for this specific financial driver. And the good thing that we do actually is, as discussed, because most business owners are not numbers people and they don't like numbers. So we provide them with what we call color-coded scoreboard. It's colors, green, yellow, and red. So no need for them to dig into numbers anymore. No need to dig into spreadsheet, look at spreadsheet. Just they look at one page, color-coded scoreboard, green, yellow, and red. They understand everything in their business, and they understand which financial driver is not working, which is in red, and we work on it to be in yellow, then in green. Once we have all the scoreboard in green, that's mean that targets met and all problems were fixed.
So you actually opened the door. I'm going to let you walk through. Tell me about these 5 drivers.
5 drivers of revenue and 5 drivers of profit and 6 drivers of cash flow. For example, I can give you an example. The cost of sale is a driver of revenue. The cost of sale can be a driver for profit as well. Because if you have, let's say, if you are making $2 or $3 million in revenue, but your cost of sale is 50%, so it's eating your profit. So there's a problem with the cost of sale. Most of time, the problem is in cost of sale, but sometimes the cost of sale is good, but it's giving an idea for the business owner that it's low, it's high. But the problem was pricing, for example, sometimes your pricing model is broken. You have to fix your pricing model. You are pricing less than the market, less than it should be because of competition. So a lot of things need to be looked at in order to determine where is the problem and how we can fix this problem.
So what do you consider materially significant? Came across this term in accounting. Usually it's when there's a deviation and, the auditor is looking at something going, you know what, you're off by, $2,000, but it's not materially significant, right? And that's compared to something else. What makes it materially significant when you're looking at it? Like what percentage do you attribute that goes, it's a plus or minus factor?
The one when you actually you have to prioritize things here. When we start working on with a client, we can just start analyzing the data and we can see on the scoreboard, let's say we have 8 or 9 out of 16 financial drivers are in red. But here we cannot work on everything together. So we will be overwhelming the client, overwhelming that business owner because they have a lot of things, other things to do in their business, not only financials. So we choose the most 2 or 3 most important and the crucial and the ones that can give you results almost immediately. So next month you can start seeing results on them. And we start with those 2 or 3 financial drivers. Once we have those financial drivers on track and we find them that it's improving, so we move on and just start working on the other thing. So there is no like $2,000 or $3,000 more or less. It's kind of priority. Which financial drivers, if you start fixing it, it can give immediate result. Some of them, they take time to start improving. And we know them that it's taking time it may take time to start improving. So we start with the 2 or 3 that can get immediate results. And then we start with them. And then when they are on track, so we start moving on and start fixing the other drivers.
So when you're dealing with a business and they're looking at, okay, I need to find some money, some cash infusion to cover. Let's say they put out a product, it's 30-day payable, etc. Do you help them also assess best places to cover that gap, whether it's a line of credit or they're using factoring?
Yes, exactly. It's something we take in consideration if it's needed. I will give you an example here. It happened with one of my clients actually before becoming a client. He just referred to me by one of my other clients, and then I went on a call with him. So what's the problem? I'm asking him just to understand what's the problem. He said, I have cash flow problem. I'm not able to pay my payroll on time. Every time I need just to withdraw money from my savings to pay the payroll. And then when I have money in the company, I take back those money and put them in my savings. So it's not the proper way to run a business. The thing that he thought that it's a problem, that he has a problem with collecting money from her customer. I asked him, are you sure that it's a collection problem? He said, yes, this is the problem. I'm 100% sure. How we can fix it? I told him, like, let me do a financial assessment for you just to make sure that this is the problem, and then I give you the solution. He said, no need for a financial assessment. I don't want to waste my time. Just let's go forward and fix this problem. I didn't accept. Let me do the financial assessment just to see what's the problem. Then he accepted. She said, yes, let's do it. He provided me with the data. I did the financial assessment. The surprise is that he's collecting money from his clients on average every 30 days, which is amazing. So the problem is not collecting money. The problem is he's paying his suppliers every 5 days. So he's collecting money every 30 days. The incoming cash is coming every 30 days, and the outgoing cash is going out every 5 days. So it's 525 days gap of negative cash flow. So I told him, your problem is not your collection. Your problem is your payments, your payables. He said, I cannot do anything. He's a construction guy. I go to Home Depot and I pay cash. I pay immediately. I buy the material and I pay. I cannot get a payment term from Home Depot. I told him, okay, great. Go and get a credit card. The credit card can give you 45 days grace period without start charging you interest. So you buy your material with the credit card, you have 45 days to pay back the credit card. And within those 45 days, you are collecting your receivables in 30 days. So you will have 15 days positive cash flow. So in just one call, one action, we turned negative cash flow and a positive cash flow just in seconds. So next month, he's just seeing results. He's just seeing excess money in his bank account. So those things, business owners, they are not aware about it because they don't know how to solve those problems. So this is the main thing that we help with is just analyzing the data, know what is the problem, and give them the solution for this problem.
How much of a buffer should they have then in their account? Getting what you understood, it's if it's a physics experiment, right? You're pouring water into a jug, right? And it's a balancing thing. How much buffer should they allow for in a business? What would make sense percentage wise, without actually giving an actual dollar?
It depends it depends on industry, but there's a KPI that's very important. Now we solve this problem immediately. So they have 15 days buffer of cash flow. But in long term, there is a KPI we monitor on monthly basis, which is the days expenses in bank. How many days you have and expenses in banks. Every business, this is a KPI. I usually work on it, and it should be at 6 months. So every business should have enough money in their bank account just to cover 6 months of expenses if they don't have any money coming in. So why 6 months? 6 months give them enough runway if anything happened, like COVID, like anything happened. So they have 6 month runway to keep their business alive until they fix the problem. So I work on it and I keep it with every client 6 months. And then, so when they have this buffer, so they will be good to go that anything happen, they have enough money to cover.
Well, it's something I know from chatting with you previously that is severe or worse in family business, that you stop treating you treat your business like it's your eldest son, and it's been losing your money for 7 years, but it's going to turn around, and you have to tell them, well, no, in fact, it's not. Your business is actually a net revenue loss to you. You need to wash your hands. I know that's hard for you to have that discussion, but I understand it's something that you find is very useful when it's done.
Yes, exactly. Especially in the family business that you mentioned. Mainly in the family business, the man and wife and maybe children are involved sometimes. And each one of them has its own way, let's say, or its own approach, how they approach data, how they approach decisions. So yeah, the family business, it's a little bit hard to work with family business owners. However, they treat their business like their baby. They takes a lot of decisions emotionally, and this is very wrong. Any decision should be made based on data, based on numbers, not just gut feeling. And this is very important just for business owners, especially the family business owners, to be aware of and start implementing in their business.
From a staffing perspective, if you're starting up and then you're ramping up and your business is good, your cash flow is rolling in, how do you determine, or when do you determine to go, listen, I'm hiring all these fractional elements, or I'm hiring a contractor to do this work, and it's on their own terms, so they don't become an employee. But if you want to flip it around and going, listen, I'm getting big enough, maybe I should have an employee. How do you make the decision? Either casual, part-time, full-time. How do you make that business decision, knowing that you want the business to succeed? So there's pride and ownership, but at the same time, you're not boxing yourself in, because once you hire an employee, there's a whole host of things that come with that as an obligation, right? Everything from CPP to WSIB here in Ontario and so forth. How do you make that decision to go, yes, you should do this because it makes sense financially?
Every hire decision should be based on growth. And this is part of the plan. The growth is part of the plan. When you see a growth happening and you are planning for growth, you need workforce in order to do this growth or to help with this growth. Every employee should bring with him a return on investment. There's a drop in the first, let's say, 1 or 2 months, but after 2 months, this should be start raising. So the curve should be start raising. Every employee should have a return on investment on them. So when you hire someone, you have to know that this guy is coming in order to bring more money for the company. Usually I work with bookkeepers. Bookkeepers, they are my clients as well. I have many bookkeepers are my clients. Usually in the bookkeeping industry, every new employee should bring 3 times his salary and revenue. So if they don't, it's a loss. So when you build your planning for growth, you know how much you are going to make, how much you are going to spend on new people, and then you build or you make your decision based on this.
The whole concept of fractional, the idea is not new, the language is. So you want to make sure that you're giving them data that's quick enough that they can actually use, but you also don't want to tie them into bills they can't afford. What's the sweet spot to meet with the customer? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? I know it's not yearly. So how often do you want to see a customer in a perfect world?
Ideally monthly, because usually the bookkeeper closes the books every month. So at the end of the month, we get the reports from the bookkeeper. We put it in our system. We do we update the data in our system for this specific month. And due to the new data, actual data, we do the new forecast. And after doing the new forecast, we compare the new forecast with the targets. And then we put an action plan. We update the scoreboard for sure. And then we put an action plan, what to do next month in order to improve the financial drivers that are still in red. And we do this on monthly basis. Some businesses, they do it on a quarterly basis, but for sure, in quarterly basis, it's let's say Q3. If anything happened, and let's say Q4, if anything happened in October, you will not be able to know about it until December or until January. It's too late to make any adjustments. And this is the secret behind having a fractional CFO. You have the one that they guide you to do the adjustments on time, not late, because late is too late. You cannot do any adjustments anymore. So this is why we highly recommended to be on monthly basis.
One thing I realized in my previous role, we had a certain service, and the demand dropped off. You just see the numbers, and it's kind of petering out. There's utility behind the scene where if you converted it to something else, and it was accommodations, you converted it to something else, whether it's from a long term like an apartment rental to something where it's a short term, almost like a hotel-esque like environment. Is there, I mean, I could build a model because, I had replaced other suites in that way, but I realized certain things were ebbing and flowing or not flowing, I should say. Is there a model that you can help project? Someone says, listen, something is going soft in one area. I'm seeing the numbers in real time. I'm seeing the clients aren't showing up. So I don't need an assessment. I know that something has gone soft. And it could be staffing, it could be technology, it could be any of those components. I have a plan to change it or turn it around. Do you have a way to plug in to model out? Is this going to work or not? Is it going to be a good idea or not? Other than people saying I'm looking for something that in the past I haven't had, and now maybe I should do that. Is there some way to find out will that model work ahead of
Yeah,
time?
yeah,
How
sure.
would you do that?
We add those new things to our model, to our spreadsheets, and to our system, and we see what would be we build like a new plan for this specific new things that they want to start with. Like we put all the expenses, all the revenues, expected expenses, all those financial drivers to this specific work they want to start with. And then we see if it's profitable or not, how much money they need to invest as a startup, because as a startup capital in order to just this new model off. And then we also, after doing that, we mix the new things with the old things to see how is going to affect the existing business, the existing services. And we see if they have enough money to start with, if they need the financing or not. So this is a kind of full study for the new and the old, and how the old can handle the new model or the new service or whatever, or the new product, and then we move forward if it's profitable or not. It depends. If it's profitable, we move forward. If not, we say no, it's not profitable. So you cannot start with it. Here, I want to add something. It's very important that when we do our analysis, let's say it depends. Either it's construction or service-based company or whatever. They have products. Service-based company, they have, let's say, 10 or 7 or 8 or whatever services, number of services. The construction, they have projects. Sometimes they are making a lot of money, but this specific service is losing money. So this specific service is eating the profit of other profitable services. They end up doing nothing in terms of profit, but they don't know why, because they have one or two services are not profitable. So part of our analysis is just to uncover those services that is not profitable. Either we improve them in order to be profitable, or we remove them completely from the business. So making $2 million in $200,000 in profit is better than making 3 million in revenue with zero profit.
I agree. What I get a kick out of that I think you have some insight on is if I hear scaling 17 times a day, it's been a slow day. I think that you are occasionally told to tell your clients you've got something working, it's working well. Scaling is going to add costs without necessarily revenue. Why don't you run this and enjoy it and maybe play bridge?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's very important to know. At the end of the day, they started their business to make profit and to make money. This is the goal of any business. If they don't making money, there's no it's not a business anymore. You know that 80% of business owners get paid less than $100,000 a year. 80% of small business owners, they get less than $100,000 a year. So it's a job. It's not a business. They are taking all the risk. They are working more hours, and they have employees just to pay them their payroll on time. A lot of headache, and at the end of the time, the day they are getting just less than 100,000 a year. It's better for them to go and get a job without this all headache.
Interesting enough, do you foresee sometimes when there are problems that they become opportunities? And with the economy the way it's going right now, do you see anything coming up in the next couple years that you know you're sitting back, you're talking to a business, whether it's a construction company, a restaurant, whatever the case might be, or a dentist or lawyer, and you're going, listen, right now you're operating this way. Stuff's coming down from maybe the federal budget, provincial budget's doing something. The pandemic has eased up, or the pandemic has swung back into action, and you're a PPE manufacturer, in which case it's Christmas time again. Is there anything that you foresee that's coming in that people should be mindful of as they're planning out? Because it's one thing to plan in the moment. I'm going, you know what? I'm hungry right now. I'm going to go eat, right? But planning out, like you said, a road trip. If you got a host of kids with you, you got to do pit stops and you got to feed everybody, right?
Yeah.
Do you foresee some other things that are coming up that most business owners are not forecasting that, they might be blind to or oblivious to?
We usually keep monitoring all the economics and all the decisions, government decisions in terms of business, all those stuff. And we give advices on how to solve this problem because we know that it's coming, but not all of the time we know everything. And this is why we have to keep on monthly business on monthly basis, because if anything happens during your journey, we will be here to make adjustment. I have a client, they are manufacturing. They sell 80% of their products to the US. 80%. They got 30% tariff now on their products. So they are almost down. 30% cost and for sure the client cannot handle this cost, they will be handling this cost 30% more on cost of sale. This is something it was shocking for them. Nobody knows. We didn't know about this before because it was a surprise for everyone. Because we are on board, we just run many what if scenarios. What if 30%? What we have to do? What we should do? What if 25%? What we should do? What 50%? What we should do? We maybe ran maybe more than 6 or 7 what if scenarios to be able, anything will happen in this regard. We are ready just to plug in and implement, not wait until we have that decision and then we start working on this. You will find yourself 2 or 3 4 months, you will find yourself out of business. So this is the secret behind planning. You are ready whenever anything happened, things south, you are ready to just implement the plan that you are.
Sounds like Boy Scout mode. You're in Boy Scout mode. And you're
Yeah.
ready for anything.
So I agree numbers are important. I understand planning is important. But what really is important is classic cars. I need to know, Walid, what is the dream car?
Oh, it's a good question. The dream car is the Porsche 911, but I didn't reach this yet. At this point yet. I'm still in other kind of cars now.
You're also a pilot. Where do you like flying? Like, what type of planes do you take up?
Do fly Cessna 170.
The
Very
most
nice.
popular frame, I think, ever. That and the DC-3. Those
Yeah.
are the two.
Yes, exactly. This is for training, and it's safe, and it's affordable to just rent one and go for sightseeing.
Well, you don't own one?
No, I don't have it on my own. I rent it.
That's
And
okay.
I have to get that.
Maintenance.
I have to get the Porsche first, then the airplane.
Walid, tell me usually what is the toothache in the customer's mind where they know they have to do something? What are those things? Okay, I got to see somebody, and hopefully you. What sends them to you embarrassed and we got to talk?
Things that keep them awake at night. Those things that I have a payroll next Friday. What should I do? I have a payment for the CRA. What should I do? I have I have a client. I have a testimonial from her, by the way. When she started working with me, she said in her testimonial that it is the first time that they have zero balance with the CRA. They paid all their debts for the CRA in just maybe a few months because of positive cash flow, excess money. The money is there. As long as they are working, the money is there. But there is a problem need to be fixed in order to have their bank account full of money.
So, Walid, how do we get a hold of you?
I have my LinkedIn profile and we have the website www.precisiongrowthpartners.ca. My email is info@pgpartners.ca, and my phone number is 613-501-1244, so they can reach out at any time for any question. And by the way, anyone need helps, we do free financial assessment for everyone. We don't charge for it, just for them to understand the real problem and for us to understand the business, so we can move on if they want to move on and have us helping them. But first thing we do, free financial assessment for everyone.
Walid, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, informative. Wayne Pratt, you being the co-host, thank you again. And you, the Knife for Business listeners, we appreciate your time. You know, Walid might be able to take you for a plane ride, maybe look for a sports car, fill
Yeah.
with a dream car. But you know what? It's the stress. If you're having stress in your side of your business and it's financial stress, whether you're owing the tax man or it's the timely payment of your staff, are you getting your payments in on time? Are you getting your receivables in on time? He can help sort that out and just, guide you in the right path because that's the role of a fractional CFO?
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREATIVISIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayne@motive8u.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8 and the letter u.ca, or his website, motive8u.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people. Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert. Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host. Jovan Strika from At Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space. Then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner, and Wayne Pratt from Motive8U Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer. Please note that the Knack4 Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.